everybody, and welcome to Red Wings Rant, where tirades and impassioned pleas for your Detroit Red Wings finally have a home. We've got more losing to talk about. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff to talk about today. I mean, we could talk about that Predators game. Like, we could talk about Alex Chason if you want, Mike. I mean, it's just we're going macro. You know, we're looking to the future. We're looking at what's going on in the NHL right now. That's kind of what the news is, right? Like, well, here's a bit of news that's super relevant to us. What is it? March? Yeah. I'm sorry, May 8th.
Yeah.
Yeah. May 8th. Sorry, I thought you were going to say
something. For us?
May 8th is going to be our. That's our special day, Mike. That's our Super Bowl.
Oh, it's Little Caesars Grade the Red Wings Day?
The draft lottery.
Oh, yeah, the other one. I like Little Caesars grade the team.
I'm definitely coming in, or you're hearing me at a slower rate because you're answering me you're interrupting me, which I think you are, and you're not actually.
I do like interrupting you, though.
One of us needs to reset here.
It does. It's great. I'm going to read a few comments, Matt. I see you moving, and the audio's off.
Podcasting. Why don't you, read your comments, and then I'm going to reset, and I will be right back. And that's how live podcasting works.
It's the best part. Hey, everybody, we're going to wait for Matt here. We got a little bit of a delay, internet-wise. No other real delays. So, Chewy, just saying, glad you're here. Glad you're home. Glad you're safe. Glad you're with the Red Wings Rant.
Oh, wait, hold up. As I'm refreshing my screen, I hear Mike say, "Hold on, we're gonna wait for Matt." I told you.
That's not what I said, but I'm glad that
I was refreshing. So
yeah, and also you are still having a little bit of lag there.
No,
your no was on point. Wonder of Ohio. Do you guys think that the Red Wings are getting to the playoffs? About no.
Nope.
Maybe if they buy a ticket, right?
No way.
Jared Sider snubbed for top goal of the week. You know, Jared, even if it wasn't necessarily best goal of the week, can we win something? You know, give us that. Ken Young, what's going on, brother? Good to see you. Dan B, May 8th, 2023. The Wings rebuild is complete.
Dan.
At least we got a couple of picks in there, right? Tristan, how are you? Jared, I'm glad that you appreciate this is the Mike episode. And then Craig, good to see you, bud. Matt, how's my audio coming in?
You're coming in good. Dan B's talking about when we win the draft lottery, right? And we get Connor Bedard, or maybe we get number 2, and we'll chop off our Willie for Adam Fantilli, right? Hashtag, wait, is it chop or cut? What did I do? Hashtag cut off your Willie for Adam Fantilli. And, of course, hashtag lose hard for Connor Bedard.
A little Attitude Era WWE. It should be choppy, pee pee, you know.
Okay, well, I wanted to use Adam Fantilli's name.
Choppy, pee for the Fantilli. There you go. Beautiful.
Right. No, yeah, you're right. You proved me wrong. That's got a better ring to it.
See, I made it longer.
There, Jared calls it.
Mike, show. Just last comment here before we get into the real juice of the show.
Go down, Craig. Yeah.
Devastated here by your expanding of the number of playoff teams in our fantasy hockey league, because I went from immediately starting in the conference finals to probably being out in the first round. So I appreciate you setting me up with the team that has Connor McDavid. So
yeah,
appreciate you looking.
Yeah, no problem. So yeah, that we kind of just skimmed over that. There was a point, Mike, where you pointed out to me that there were only 4 teams in the playoffs, and I went, well, I guess we'll change it for next year. And then I was screwing around with the settings, and it said, would you I could change it 4 teams or 8 teams in our fantasy hockey league playoffs. And I was just like, I wonder what happened if I did this. And I switched it to 8 and it worked, and I could save. And I was like, hey, now I'm in the playoffs. Look, I fully recognize that it's kind of a shit move on my part. I get it. But were we really going to have how many? Don't we have like 20 teams in our league and only have 4 teams in the playoffs? That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's true.
So bad move on my part to start, but I got it fixed before the playoffs start. I bet most of the people in our league, in the Red Wings Rant League, would have guessed at least 8 teams made it to the playoffs. Not 4. We would have been done in 2 more weeks. Our league would have been dead.
I thought it was maybe like an ode to like, the old original teams, only like one team made the playoffs and that team was the champion. That's how it used to be. But I know we got a couple.
Jared said Matt beat me like a rented mule this week.
Oh,
it's an old JR.
WWE fanatics over here. You want to be a government mule?
Am I facing you this week, Jared, or was that last week? Help me out, because I know last week I did well, and this week I'm starting out pretty good in that first round of the playoffs. I don't know.
Look at Chewy. I'll be getting the first or second pick next year. I wish it worked like that, Chewy.
Yeah, no, it's we're gonna do a keeper league, Chewy. So you're stuck with all those Red Wings that you drafted. You.
But yeah, we should get into some content here.
Well, one quick thing, Tristan here. Now we're not doing draft coverage yet. Tristan says I'm taking Michkov over Fantilli all day.
Wow, that's a lot of confidence, and I don't know how we're going to uproot that guy out of the country. But
that's my problem. I would almost, if that was the best guy available, I might even trade back Michkov.
I feel like Fantilli. I just got to get him
scared.
up, 94. In a sedan. Michkov, I need a.
When can Michkov come to the NHL? Question mark. He's considered.
When you look that up, are you looking up Google or Chat GPT?
That was Chat GPT. Is it working?
Chat GPT, please explain how we're gonna rescue Michkov from the motherland.
You know what? I typed this in. I really thought this would just be the first answer would pop up. All right. The Athletic he's going to be a star, but his KHL contract is quite the owie and the bum. It's a weird title for an Athletic article, honestly. This is fun to skim an article, I bet. 2026 through the 20. So you could get Michkov 26, 27. So that's not to say, like, if he was on my list of prospects right now, like I wouldn't be counting down the seconds. I just don't think I'm not going after that now. Right? We're on all of these lists of like, could be a playoff contender in the next couple of years.
Nah, I think he's right on line with our rebuild. I mean, we're not going to be relevant till, we're slow build, man. We're not ready till like 2028, I'd say at the earliest.
If you mean that in all honesty.
Yeah.
Fine. I mean, but I guess I'm outside of that. If I had the choice between Fantilli, who I think will be ready to go in a couple of years, like Fantilli is graded as like in the last 3 drafts, he'd be number 1. Like, it's not to say like he's a regular number 2 pick. Like, he's so good in these last 3 drafts, he would have been taken first overall. Connor Bedard is, we all know. This is graded as generational talent. This will be the game changer for the Coyotes, probably the Chicago Blackhawks, the Sharks. The Sharks, are they the ones that quietly jumped down to the bottom of the league? Can't remember. Yes. But any hoozles, like that's going to be huge.
Ken Young, Putin may put Michkov in his army. Ken, I laughed and then I was like, well, maybe. He's really dragging out this Ukraine bullshit, and just to spite us, he might do that. I don't know.
Tristan says, if he signs his entry level immediately, he's able to terminate the KHL anytime. He just won't ever be allowed to return, which I don't know. I feel like you'd want that option.
Yeah, these
Dan A says
are
Fedorov will smuggle him out, and he'll play his first game when we retire 91. So that'll be how Fedorov earns that retired jersey up in the stands. I like that, Dan. Now we're thinking creatively here. That's Dan A. Oh man.
we got Dan B coming in.
Well, Dan B's always been here. I believe the NHL honors KHL contracts. He couldn't just leave. That's the impression I was under. I still think that these guys have this ability to terminate contracts. You know, like they don't have to fulfill the contract, right? But there's punishments for that.
Don't we have an ambassador over there named Pavel Datsuk?
Well, Pavel's always got other things on his mind that we try not to bring up because it tarnishes his reputation.
I know, but he's got a particular set of skills, that could kind of bail us out here. We haven't called on him in a long time. I think we shoot up the Datsuk signal and see if he can help us out here.
I did see. This is more just like a quick little side note. I saw one of the thousands of Red Wings blogs. One of them did a bracket, and Pavel actually beat out Fedorov. I thought that was pretty wild, like a March Madness bracket. Kind of surprised by that. So anyway, official stance of Matt Klink on Red Wings Rant. Mike, you're going Michkov. I'm not ready to wait.
I'm going for the guy I can drive up 94. I'm not ready to dive into that.
I still love the poetry of Detroit sports and having 2 second picks out of the University of Michigan being like, ushering in the new generation of Detroit sports. I think that would be so much fun.
I'm just not confident we can pluck him out and get him here in a timely manner to play with the team. I think it's just going to be an awkward situation. I mean, we're waiting on our own guy. Are we waiting on Buchelnikov? Buchelnikov? I think I've skipped a syllable.
Yeah, did you want to talk about him first? Because this is going to fit into our. We had to read there's a story I wanted to tell with our slides today. Dmitry Buchelnikov.
See, I just skipped a syllable. I still had the pronunciation.
I think you said like Buchagras. I think that's where you were headed.
I had booty grass. Yeah.
I kind of just wanted to talk about this because I think it's something that's fun to think about. I have seen a few reviews. If I could pull this up here and you guys can see like where the numbers are at right now. Reviews of like where he's absolutely killing it, which is the VHL, and a lot of people who are closer to that league than I am have criticized that league for not being able to develop players properly, and the defensive talent is lacking. I can't speak to that. I just was sad to find that in some of the descriptions of what's going on with Booch right now. I love the idea, that we're bringing up a winger from Russia who'll be here in a couple of years, and we can go 1-for-1. We can match the Kucherov story for Steve Yzerman. It's just there were some things that you kind of want to pause and like take the expert opinion in for a second, because it is always fun to watch highlights of guys scoring goals. But that opinion that I read this week scared the crap out of me. And like to have somebody just take a huge dump on the VHL, basically where Booch right now is killing it, and to say like, all right, it's fine, but, and again, it's this human being's opinion. It was like, okay, that's fine. However, this league is absolute garbage. Like, it would be way more fun seeing Marco Kasper, who actually, I think he just walked away with an award, but to see him do that in the SHL, kind of thing, where that's like right there, or in the KHL. What am I doing? I'm skipping over a whole country. But yeah, having Booch do what he's doing in the KHL would make a huge difference. So I think that scared me, and I can read other opinions, but once I see one person like call out an entire league and say, like, talent's talent, right? If he makes the goals look pretty, you can't fight it. But I'm just trying to pull back on my excitement because of that. Because it's right. It's like perfect. Booch is our Cooch. Kucherov.
Oh man, the Booch and the Cooch, man.
Yeah,
The
it'd be
Vasilevsky
perfect.
and then the Kosalevsky. Yeah, they're pretty similar, man. I think Yzerman, he's just trying to do a greatest hits. But yeah, the Bucci, man, he's got a lot of large facial features. He
Aww.
Well, he looks like blonde Adam Driver.
I thought
He's got big lips, a big nose, big chin. He's even got the same haircut. He looks like Adam Driver.
I like that. I was thinking like if Bella Ramsey and Artemi Panarin had a baby, it would be Booch. No? Bella Ramsey from The Last of Us? Anybody? Anybody?
Yeah. No, that's Adam Driver, man. I'm sorry. That's the closest one right there. He just dyed his hair.
Right, so
he's getting ready for a new hockey movie. Yeah.
So we'll do Adam Driver and Bella Ramsey.
Yeah.
Okay. Just the eyes. The eyes scream Bella Ramsey to me.
He does have some Bella eyes. Yeah,
yes, thank you. All right. That's all I wanted to hear. Now Tristan throws out there legit going to be deadly. Guy looks to be 25 to 30 goal scorer. Second, third line right wing when we win a cup.
Hold on, I gotta save my receipt for when Tristan said that about Joe Veleno. Hold on, let me find that. I can rib him a little bit, right? Just a little bit.
Do you know for a fact that Tristan said Joe Veleno was going to be a 25 to 30 goal scorer?
No, I think he said like 35 to 40. I can't remember. He didn't really say that, but
I'm not. I can't say whether or not that ever happened, but yeah,
I'm ribbing him.
There he is. Never said that.
I'm ribbing him. I'm ribbing him.
I know, but rib him for something real. I don't think he ever said that about Joey V. No, Tristan, we got high on Wyatt Newpower, and of course he hasn't made the trip back up. We did like a full episode about Wyatt Newpower, and I'm not blaming Tristan at all. I think we were both on that same boat where we were like, whoa, this could actually be a difference maker, and then it didn't work out. I think that's the one time Tristan got us like excited about someone, and it was like, all right, I am going to take a look. And then it wasn't Tristan's fault. I looked at everything that was going on with Wyatt, and I got excited too. But the reason, and we're going to come to this with Buch, I'm just going to start saying Buch so I don't have to like do the math in my head and go Buchelnikov. There. Tristan, I'm an idiot on Newpower. You're not, man.
I mean, we all got misses, right? I skipped a whole syllable and Buch. See, I'm not even going to do it again because I'm going to miss another syllable. Yeah.
Go Buchelnikov.
No, I'm not doing it. I'm just going to call him the Buch.
Like Chell 23, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. So the reason that conversation's important was because we were sent this love list today. Not us, but subscribers to The Athletic. The average championship roster checklist. And maybe Buchelnikov and Michkov help us fill this out in a couple of years by 2026, Mike.
Because we certainly don't have most of these right now.
But isn't that like part of the pressure for Matt V? Like, I mean, like he comes over in 2026. You better fucking score 30 goals. You know what I mean? Like 30, 40 goals when you come over. You're spending an early pick on now. If he falls back and you kind of fall into Michkov, I think you can sell me, Mike. Like you could sell me that this is fine for the timetable. It's okay. We can build a team and then Michkov will come over. But again, when he comes over, it's got to be fucking instant, man. We're not playing these games. We're not playing 1 to 2 years. Oh, he's got to learn the North American fucking game. No, man. You got to produce day one if we're waiting until the 26-27 season. And I know that sounds rough because
I don't know
what would he be like 21?
The pressure on him, the pressure for him, I feel is pretty low. I mean, I got drafted on another continent. You know, maybe I'll go check it out. You know, I don't think there's any pressure.
That's
on
true.
him. I feel like the real pressure is on the general manager, Mr. Yzerman himself. Because we know how much he fetishizes, the first round of that HL draft. I'd be asking a lot to potentially pick up a guy you're not going to see for 3 3+ years, and then potentially ever.
I mean, that's another thing that scares me about that. That's 3 years of not being
And
developed by your own.
yeah, that was the next thing I was going to say, is how much the Red Wings really, really want you to go through every ebb and flow of their system, and that's not going to be an option with this guy. So you better figure out some way to integrate him into the system, and bring in some more Russian players for him to kind of hang out with. But Fethtar, good to see you, bud. And I know Matt, he's got the little the code for this this table here.
Another quick call out, Dan B, Amadeus Lombardi, third in OHL scoring. I think we might have called out, or maybe we missed that last week. But anyway, another good call out for building out what we're about to talk about. And what Fethtar just threw out there was, what the hell are we looking at? So this is the Athletics average championship roster checklist. This is one of my favorite things that they've created, because it really helps you see like how far away some teams are. It could really help predict what we're about to watch as we jump into the playoffs and who's going to win the cup. But yeah, let's I want to go through these rules for all the YouTube viewers, because they're not rules. I'm sorry. Sort of like, what's the key of what we're looking at here? And the average championship roster checklist. I'll start on the left side here, because what you're looking for is an elite center, an elite winger, elite defenseman, and an elite goalie. And you could still look at back at 2020. What didn't check off the box insanely based on the regular season was Vasilevsky for an elite goalie. So it could still all be done, but I just want to keep going down the list. Elite center, winger, defenseman, goalie. Check, 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 check. You got to check those boxes. Then top line center, top line winger, number one defenseman. On top of your elite defenseman. So a guy performing so well, he could be a number one defenseman anywhere else. Plus you have your elite defenseman. Now, top six forward, top pair defenseman, and a top pair defenseman. Again, we just talked about having a number one defenseman paired with your elite defenseman, and now we've got a couple of top pair defensemen as we fall down the list. Now, Fethtar again asked, what are these colors for all the people watching on YouTube? For the podcast listeners, what you're going to have to do is just kind of take our word on stuff going forward, because we've gone through this list here of the players that you're looking for, and do the Red Wings have these players? We'll go over that in a little bit. But for the Athletic, where's my colors? Oh no, that's the wrong screenshot, motherfucker. All right, well, let's read elite first line center. That's among very best players in the world. Of course, same thing for the first line winger. Two other top line wingers on each of the top two lines. Top line center. Two more top six forwards for depth in the middle six. An elite number one defenseman. A second number one defenseman to play behind him. Another top pairing caliber defender to crush soft minutes on the third pair. And a top 10 caliber starting goaltender. All right. So here's the game Matt's going to play right now. Mike, do you have any thoughts on that so I can find this other picture?
Yeah, there's some scary epiphanies. I think we're gonna. Well, I guess not really an epiphany, but as far as trying to see where the Red Wings are and compared to this, these teams, it seems like we're missing most of these.
And we'll show those off in a sec. But I did find
my only beef with this. My only beef with this is, yes, it does make sense to look at this like at a championship level, like what the very best team does. But I mean, like if we look at last season, and we just used, I don't know, the Toronto Maple Leafs. How many of those do you think that they fill in? So it's tough, because I wouldn't use this and say, nope, I'm going to build my team completely different and not get an elite center and an elite winger and an elite, defensive pairing. But man, I just ballparking it. How many of those would you feel like the Maple Leafs could fill in?
All of them.
You think so?
Well, I'm sorry, goalie. Let's take off goalie. I think I might have.
Maybe just elite goalie?
Well, there we go. So, yeah, this is everything except for the elite goalie, which, yeah, that one was quick for me to jump off of. And their second top 6 forward, which again, where was that? Another top pairing. Nope, 2 more top 6 forwards in the middle 6. So let's talk about this. We're saying misses, right? So I found the when you guys look at these charts, the red X falls below the range entirely. A gray check mark is passable, but below the average champion. Black check mark above average relative to the average cup winner, and a gold check mark exceeds the range entirely. So like the Avalanche last year are all gold check marks except for elite goalie, which kind of lines up with the eyeball test, and the top 6 forward, which would be that middle 6 guy. And then what's our last one there? Another top pair defenseman that would crush third line pair, or I'm sorry, third pair minutes is how it's defined by. And we haven't even called out his name, but the article is by Shayna of The Athletic. And then, of course, Dom Luchizin is the guy who put this all together. So, like you said, Mike, you're taking a look at the Avalanche had everything except for those 3 spots. The Lightning, geez, oh, Pete. I mean, in the 2021 season, they missed on having their top 6 forward that was like eating up minutes in the middle 6, but for the most part they're hitting the mark as like the average Stanley Cup champion top to bottom, and then they were kind of just barely missing.
Question.
Yeah, they're all over the place.
Yeah, what defines an elite goaltender? Because I'm looking at the year 2020 Tampa Bay Lightning, and there's a big red X for elite goalie.
Well, it's not like you look at Vasilevsky. Like I already, and I hope you do this too. Like he's already on my Mount Rushmore of greatest goaltenders of all time. But a lot of that had to do with the 2020 playoffs, which this isn't measuring that. This is measuring those regular season numbers moving into the playoffs, and probably some 5-on-5 numbers could have hurt Vasi. But I don't know what to tell you. The next season he was a gold check mark and like above.
Do you know if they said it was about WAR? Or do you know which stat they used?
No, because this is about the Red Wings. I didn't go in depth on what happened with Vasilevsky.
Okay. I'd say the other kind of fun thing, and I know this will tickle you a little bit, that if you're going to say the 2 teams that had the least and still won, would be the 18 Capitals and Mr. Kane himself in 2015, man.
Whew.
There's no gold on that team.
I don't know. Those 2012 Kings, like this lines up with the conversation of like how this is a measurement of your regular season. Like the Kings were the 8th seed, right, to win the cup. So not a great regular season, but they turned it on in the playoffs. So that's not to say like this. I think that's a good thing to bring up. Like this isn't the be all end all, but I think you said it right. Like there isn't a GM out there who's like, I'm not going to follow this, but I think what Dom has created here is a way for us to see how far away we are. I think that's what this tool is used for. Like how close someone is, how close are they compared to other people in the playoffs. But I don't think anybody's using this as a tool to say, oh, that's how you build a good hockey team. Like, I think you use this as a tool to see how far away you are.
Yeah, the other GM is like a big fan of the, Disney Mighty Ducks movie. We'll just get all the worst kids in town and we'll win the cup.
So Jared says, this is about the Red Wings?
It is, eventually.
And Fethdar does actually say that. I'm sure they'll get to it shortly.
Also, Jared had a good rib for me when I made up legendary Red Wing Albertson, when I combined Albert and Johansson into one name. So I appreciate that.
So this one's fun. Like this makes it even more interesting with the goaltenders because I'm looking at the Bruins now just to we'll go from the Bruins and you guys will see where I'm going with all of this. But even like Ullmark, who's, right. We're talking about our Vezina winner here. He's still a black check mark, not a gold check mark. Just a little fun fact for you to chew on. Tampa Bay Lightning checking a lot of those boxes, except having a top pair defenseman down in your bottom pair. Maple Leafs doing a lot of the same thing, except for, again, top 6 forward getting in the way, which we already talked about. I thought this one might be fun to bring up. Sabres and the Ottawa Senators.
Our peers. Yeah.
Yeah, the Sabres have everything checked except for when it comes down to depth, right? So you could make the argument the Sabres could at least make it to the second round with their top couple lines, and then their couple of pairings there. Ottawa, and we'll compare them to the Red Wings in a second here for all the fighting we've been doing on Twitter with the Ottawa Senators, and not just us, but all of you lovely people out there. Analytics test, Ottawa's got, they're a little bit closer. They've also got some good depth going down there. They just got to get rid of Matthew Joseph, another enemy of Detroit Red Wings fans. All right, so here's the Wingdings. So basically for podcast listeners, we looked at, Boston checking a lot of boxes, Tampa still checking a ton of boxes, Toronto checking a ton. Then we looked at our peers, like Mike put them, Buffalo and Ottawa checking a lot of boxes in their top 6 and the top couple of pairings, missing out on some depth. The Detroit Red Wings have 1 box checked so far and are finding ourselves into the average cup winner conversation. Again, it's not the be all end all. The LA Kings, if you are hoping Steve Yzerman builds the LA Kings and we can have a couple of cup runs because Jonathan Quick is in his heyday, sure. I suppose Steve, hey, how many draft picks has he given up for a goaltender? Maybe that's what he's trying to do. But to reset the conversation, the Detroit Red Wings, in comparison to all those teams, comparison to the average cup winner, the question on this episode was, how far are the Wings from contending? Mike, out of the 12 measured spaces on the average cup winner list, we're 11 away from.
Matt, I got 4 words for you. Let them see red.
Woo-hoo-hoo! That's right, because those boxes are red. Good call.
Yeah.
Come
on, Wallman.
Remember when I got in an argument with Max Boltman, and I was like, how great it would be to have like Tyler Bertuzzi on the third line, and he was like, that's not a thing. And I was like, yeah, that's like when you're the Stanley Cup champion, you are good enough to have Tyler Bertuzzi on the third line.
Right. You want to afford enough depth to have him down there. Yeah.
Right. So that's the situation Boston's in now. I wanted to remind you, I don't forget.
Yeah,
right?
You know, man. Matt's got a lot of receipts up there. It's all receipts under that hat.
So, I mean,
these numbers
how
are
long
not as
do we
bleak
look
as
at
you
this,
think, right? Because I have to think some of what has brought Mo Seider down is his playing with Sherratt for a little while.
Right. I think another thing on here too is, as much as, you know what, I will say, even I'm going to try and save myself, but I'll admit, like I was like, I said from the start with Andrew Copp, my problem is how many minutes he was getting. And I think some people have interpreted that as me saying he sucks. I'll just say I was wrong about Andrew Copp based on the last couple of weeks, because he's really turned it on. He looks amazing. I'm going to say like where I said, oh, maybe we shouldn't be giving the guy who's injured so many minutes. Okay, whatever the situation is, I'm giving him his props. He's looking amazing right now. Just want to call that out. Matt was wrong. I don't know. Still tried to save myself. So clearly I'm still a piece of shit. Anyway, he's doing great. Is he a top line center? No fucking way. Is Dylan Larkin? Yes. But we have Dylan Larkin in our elite center spot. So I love this experiment. I think it's done a little incorrectly, because what I'd like to see, like, God damn it all to hell, everybody. Dylan Larkin is the top line center, right? But they're comparing him to the elite level of scoring we see at the top line center, which we know Dylan hasn't cracked that yet. So I as much as we love Dylan, he's our first line center. I have no problem. It's still measured against the production levels that we've seen from his competition. So he's not quite there. He's missing the mark from the analytics. But I think you check that box if he gets knocked down to top line center. There's something else that gets slotted in there. Like, think about just getting, if in 2 years we bring in Austin Matthews, which I'm just playing that game just for a second, you immediately, we assume Moritz Seider's numbers, get the Sherratt rub off of it. You check a box off at the elite center. You check a box off at the top line center. And what happens when you bring Dylan Larkin down to the next line and he's playing with Lucas Raymond, who will also have a couple more years under his belt. So that is to say, I think we're a lot closer than this thing actually leads on. Cool.
Really? Well, I think what's interesting about like the judging
Not to,
Red Wing.
I do want to correct myself.
So
I did just say we're an Austin Matthews away from fixing this. I'm not. That was just one example.
Yeah,
off the
we're
top
a couple
of my head.
pieces away. The funny thing about this is when we are contending, it's not that I don't think that these names will necessarily be on the team. A few of them have longer contracts, so we're going to be seeing them for a long time. Looking at you, Mr. Kopp. I think the most important column in this table for the Red Wings is role, because I think the Red Wings do have players that other teams want. That's why I think it went really so quickly at the deadline, and we were picking up first round picks for Hroneks and Bertuzzi's, and Hronek basically had half of one really good year this year. Not that his second half was bad, but it just wasn't as good as when he had the mustache. And Bertuzzi he's got one 30-goal season. He definitely does, but he's got a lot of boo-boos. So it's just we don't have guys who are ready for those roles. And I just it's going to be, this team is going to be good, kind of piggybacking a little bit off of what you were saying with if you're in a position to put Bertuzzi on the third line. It's just you gotta basically knock all these guys down, 1 to 2 lines, outside of Seider, who I think we can find some spots where he's pretty close to being an elite defenseman. He definitely had some of the deep cut numbers last year when he was just a rookie. So yeah, I wouldn't be too disappointed in this. And then I think if probably someone who wouldn't take a lot of value out of this this table is Yzerman. Because I think you would have tried to move Larkin if you didn't think he was worth almost $9 million a year, and kind of down the line there. And Ken Young throwing in. Stevie can take as long as he chooses. He has a lifetime job. Yeah, he probably does.
I thought that related to your comment. That's why I pulled it out.
What stinks is even when we had Hronek and Bertuzzi, I think they still would have been a couple of red X marks up there. Yeah, I mean, these names like Perron, we only got one more year with him. Husso, I don't know if he's going to be around. We like yelling his name, the Who, at Little Caesars Arena, but I think you want to get to a point where you're relying on Kosa.
Well, this is look at Perron at a what is he measured at? Is that a 1.8 or 1.5?
5.
Right. So if you look at the average cup winner, you're moving Perron down to that third section at top 6 forward, which the game score is basically what we're looking at here is a 1.1, and David Perron being a 1.5. Like, that's where he fits, right? Like, from the start of the season, and this didn't actually come to fruition. And this is when the Blues were still contenders. Elliot Friedman was saying he's just counting the days till David Perron gets traded back to St. Louis. And that's where he would have fit in that conversation, in the top 6 forward, eating up some middle 6 minutes. Like, that's the sweet spot for David Perron. That's where we had him eating middle 6 minutes at the start of the season, and then things kind of got out of hand. But yeah, I just think
the scariest thing is that a lot of these teams, we looked at a couple of our peers. We looked at the teams that are, playoff teams, the teams winning cups. They drafted at the top of the draft. So I think maybe the scariest thing is Yzerman tried to kind of rebuild again on the fly by acquiring, soon, near future first rounders, for guys who are NHL talent. And I think that ideally, not just with, being able to kind of knock guys down into the roles they should be in, when you have like real elite players that can kind of lift everybody up. And I don't know if we have anybody who, is that kind of superhero level on the team.
All right. I will say, because the Devils are in a playoff spot right now, besides Jack Hughes in 2019, but of course that means we lose Moritz Seider. I don't know. Like, then you're talking Lafreniere. Then you're talking Owen Power, who's not terrible. But again, like trying to look for like, that level of player that you find on Tampa Bay. You see that Pasta just got paid $11 million a year. It could come. It's not here yet, though. Uri Slafkovsky, Shane Wright, of course, last year was supposed to be the number 1 pick. Like, and I'm not, last year, what do you do with that? So I get what you're saying. I wonder if just like the crop of talent just hasn't developed yet, and maybe we've already lucked into one of those guys. I mean, we started the conversation with Booch.
Yeah, I mean, we've had some guys who, I don't know, was it a pretty good crop? I don't know if our guys have been in goose suits or what, but I just, I don't know how we get out of this without really like bottoming out, unless you want to try and, do more peripheral moves, trading third rounders for, goalies and drafting at, 10, 11, and 12. I don't know. It's kind of scary. Hopefully some of our prospects, make me feel a little less pessimistic about this, but well, you could arguably say we have to fill in all of these.
I think you're moving some pieces around. You're going to add, some of these guys are going to develop and get like jump over into the elite conversation. I think that's totally possible. I'm looking at, so I'm trying to look at the New Jersey Devils right now, right? So they get Jack Hughes in 2019, then they get Alexander Holtz in 2020, which I think that was one of the guys we had our eyeballs on, but that's not like Devils are in the playoffs because of Holtz, right? Then they get Luke Hughes in 2021. Hasn't played a game yet. And then what? 2022, where was their draft pick? So, oh, wait, what am I missing here? Did they trade to get to that number 2 pick overall? Anywhoozles. So, I mean, we're talking about a bunch of guys who have not figured into the conversation where New Jersey's at. So, if you look at 2019, we were stinkers like the next year, but they also had a couple of first picks before that as well. New Jersey's had a lot of top picks, and I think the Red Wings are still kind of hoping they're going to roll in a couple of more top picks. So I think it's just, oh man, I think we're rolling the dice, Mike. I think we're hoping that whatever the strategy is that Steve builds with, he puts a team together, right, to do all the scouting. Hopefully there's the one thing or the 10 things they look for that turns into this is the player we're drafting. And, I think that's what we grade Steve on later, because I think I pulled this for a reason, but it's connected to this statement here. And what I'm talking about this is the 23, 24, and 25 draft picks for the Detroit Red Wings, tying it back to this statement. And of course, how bleak it looks, according to The Athletic, for our journey to becoming a cup winner. Elliot Friedman says GM's indicating they're expecting cap to go up, only go up 1 million. Batman leaves a window open for basically a negotiation to go higher than 1 million. Realistic look, we're either doing 1 million or nothing.
I mean, with the Red Wings, that's to our benefit, right? Because yes, our cap sheet's completely clean.
Right. That's what I was going to say is we still have a bunch of assets that don't have a dollar assigned to it. And we have all these assets coming in the first and second round over the next couple of years that, again, not only do they have no dollar that's eating anything up right now, which is a great move considering where the cap could be headed. But even when we make those moves and draft the guys, we're a few years away and getting even closer to when the cap starts to jump up before any of that becomes a problem. So coming back to like the Sabres and the Senators, every move they've done with these teams, they're 1 year closer into having difficult conversations with some of these guys that are checking off boxes and what happens when you've got to replace those guys. We know the Lightning going to be headed down in a couple of years. Boston could be as soon as next year if, Krejci makes a huge difference. Bergeron makes a huge difference, but are they even going to be around next year? Goaltending is also all over the place. So is Omar going to turn in another amazing year? So there's negative things you can tie to some of these teams and where they're standing right now. But the Red Wings, we know they weren't going to win the cup this year. I think you're putting some pieces in place, and I know what you mean with the Dylan Larkin contract signing, but they didn't pull a Matthew Stafford and make him the highest paid hockey player of all time at the point of his signing, which Stafford was the highest paid quarterback when he signed his contract with the Detroit Lions, is what I mean to say, years ago. Instead, Dylan Larkin got paid a very fair contract for who he is. And we're not destroyed by that contract in any way. And the salary cap's just going to go up. And by the time we're in year 8, oh man, and hopefully inflation hopefully we keep getting destroyed by inflation. And that Dylan Larkin contract is not going to hurt as much as it could right now if he was at the age, that he'd be at in his 8th year and getting paid $8.5 million. That would kill us right now, but it won't right now.
Yeah.
It's not the situation we're in.
No, Yzerman, as far as evaluating young talent, as far as winning trades, as far as being a negotiator, with sports agents, I think he's very good at all those things. As a Red Wing, has he been very lucky? No, not as a GM. So I would like to think that he gets a little luck this year when we figure out that draft lottery. Because otherwise, if you don't get one of those top guys, yes, I know that Yzerman can find somebody at, if we end up drafting 10th. I know that he can find somebody who's going to be pretty good, but man, it would be nice to make our lives just a little bit easier to feel like we can draft one of the guys who is going to be a NHL game changer, on the cover of, magazines and video games and, the league, somebody they want to sell. That's the one thing I wish we could give him. I don't know, a bunch of rabbit's feet, Matt. I don't know what kind of luck he got over there, but man, could we use it?
Yeah, for sure. But that's also to say, like, when we're judging Steve Yzerman too, and we know that, maybe the luck is that the draft pools have sucked. Maybe the luck is that, or the bad luck is that he had to draft through a couple of years of COVID, and the groups of players he was drafting missed full years of development. And maybe that stunted huge groups of NHL players and their ability to grow, which is a broad statement for the 200 guys coming into the NHL or being drafted into the NHL. But we could be looking back 10 years from now and just being like, oh my God, that crop of players, like the Red Wings could not have picked a worse 3 years to be tanking. But I want to check the comments here. And we will when we get back right after this commercial break. Ready for the underdogs, the upsets, and the unbelievable action from DraftKings Sportsbook? The biggest tournament in college basketball is here! That's right, it's the big one! Right now, new customers can bet just $5 on college hoops and get $200 in bonus bets instantly! Plus, for a limited time, all customers can score a no-sweat bet during round 1 and 2 of the tournament. Go to the app, opt in, and place a no-sweat bet this weekend. If it doesn't hit, you'll get a bonus bet. No sweat. Bet back up to $10. All right. So I know I put in my bracket. I think I I don't really know anything about college basketball, but I think I had Kansas winning it all. So you guys, keep an eye on them, I guess. I don't know. And they might be a number 2 ranked somewhere or here or there. All right, who cares? Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Sign up with the code THPN. New customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Win or lose, only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code THPN. Minimum eligibility and restrictions apply. See show notes for details. Ooh, that cut off pretty quick there at the end.
Yeah.
Where
I don't
were
think
we?
I've seen comments from Joe. Is it Diamond? Saying player progression is the hardest thing about this. Many of our players aren't even close to their peak. If Bobby Fish was here, he'd say, "Where's the lie?" Because that's a pretty true comment there, Joe.
Jared throws out there, the team needs better depth. We can't keep seeing half the team be Griffins. Dan B, May 8th changes it all, baby. Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping we could go live on that day and kind of give our live thoughts, or maybe just share our sadness. I mean, it would be great to go live, and I'd love to share that moment with y'all if we land at the top.
Yeah,
could you I'm just gonna
we're definitely doing a show that day. I'm sorry.
I mean,
we need to be here for that elation if something very nice happens.
All right. I mean, I'm going to play this game real quick here. There was like the comment, like, if the Red Wings got Bedard, do you put him on a wing with Dylan Larkin? And I think you see that GSVA shoot up just like you would with, any Connor McDavid with Dylan Larkin. So Bedard helps out on elite winger, elite center, whatever you want to do there. I did like
bump Larkin down to the second line.
I'm sorry?
What? Oh, I said, do we bump Larkin down to the second line?
For sure. If
Marco
Casper fits in there, which I think is they announced, I think Steve Yzerman didn't make the announcement. Might have been Hakan Anderson. I can't remember who made the announcement, but they did say Marco Casper coming over to North America next year. So that's how you maybe that's 2 years away. That what I'm building right now, but some combination of Larkin, Bedard, and Casper. I mean, this is where it's fun, right? This is the fantasy booking. Of course, when we don't win the draft lottery, we're miserable and sad again. But like, it's right. We're pretty close. It's right there. I don't know. I don't like Andrew Kopp being my top line center on this chart. Lucas's tiny numbers, they have to improve. We're talking about a tiny little guy who's in his second year. He's not tiny, but I mean, he's pretty small.
He's the Adam Cole of the Red Wings. If I could throw another wrestling analogy in there. Go ahead.
For all intents and purposes, I mean, Kubi, I think we like the start Kubelik had, but he was also dropped from this Chicago Blackhawks team. He's at a 0.9. It's just not cutting it right now. And then you finish off this conversation with Pew Suter, Robbie Fabry, Ben Sherratt, and Ole Mata. I think we all like Ole Mata. Still turns out a negative game score, which could be tied to the team he goes out there with. And of course the Ben Sherratt effect, but
yeah, that's that's why I'm still of the opinion. I think we have depth. What we don't have is the elite side. So guys kind of playing above where they're supposed to be. But you need a lot of luck, and that's what's going to kind of turn that around.
Yeah, Ken thrown out there. I look at our lineup. We need luck. Here's Fethstar. I mean, making the best point. The chart said that Vass was not elite, but he became elite. Analytics are great, but players' growth can be surprising sometimes. That's a great point by Fethstar. We see guys we talked about the Sabres. I think there were a couple people guilty of making fun of the Sabres and the Tage Thompson contract. And of course, he could come crashing down. But, I mean, the guy's going to challenge for the Rocket Richard this year.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people missed on him, including just about everybody in our fantasy hockey league. I think he went like number 140 or something like that.
Yeah, I've done that math. I've done that math a couple of times. Jared Shaw, problem with what we talked about earlier in the Austin Matthews scenario is you can't depend on one player. Absolutely. which is why we've got our fingers crossed on May 8th for us to win the draft lottery. So it's either Austin Matthews, Connor Bedard, or fire Steve Yzerman.
Yeah, we've got all our eggs in 2 baskets. That's great. Instead of just one. No,
Jared, watch out for this, Jared, to be our post for tomorrow. The our clip from this episode.
No, Jared's right. I mean, it's not one player, but I mean, one player makes your life so much easier. Like, you know, it goes without saying, like McDavid, right? You barely even need to know who else is on that, Oilers team. It's just he could just carry you. He can put the whole team back and score 4 or 5 goals. It's possible for him. It's not outside the realm of probability for him. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's great to have depth, but my God, does your life get easier with a superstar? Like you can almost start thinking about playoffs with one very excellent player.
Yeah, it is kind of funny we give Ken Holland such a hard time. Because Edmonton's really set up to just live and die with Connor McDavid. And he proved last year he could carry that team to the conference finals. And that was with an injured Draisaitl. So I am excited to see Edmonton this year. I don't despise Edmonton. I don't despise Connor McDavid. But I did want to bring up, the best point is the difference of the conversation of depending on landing that player and having that player and revolving your team around that. Like you said, those are 2 completely different conversations. That one player can make all the difference. But to Jared's point, right? Yeah, we're not hoping that Austin Matthews comes over here. I'm going to say either Toronto or Arizona. Right?
For Matthews?
Yeah.
Oh,
hometown boy or sticks with Toronto?
Maybe Texas, because just somewhere in Texas, because they have what is it? No income tax? I always thought that was a sexy idea.
Or Florida, right? Florida, and I think the amount of money you make on an NHL contract is maximized in Florida. So like Tampa can offer less money to some guys to fill out their bottom 9 on the forward side, because guys are actually going to come home with more money, which is crazy. It's like guys taking a pay cut to play with the Detroit Red Wings.
That, you know what? That's the other thing too, is once you have a superstar like that, it's so much easier to recruit free agents to come to your team, because it's like you get to play with one of the best players in the world, instead of, when we want a good player, for example, as the Red Wings, it's like, it'd be really cool to be here, and you're going to be far and away our best player, and so our very success hinges on you being the very best, so thanks a lot. So it's just it's a tough sell, because that player knows that they're good, and it shouldn't be, your wins depend on me. If I don't play there, you're probably going to lose. Like that's not a selling point.
I was wondering, Mike, how do you feel about this? This is definitely off topic. Yeah. I still have those 2 jerseys I bought off Mercari that don't have a name on it. I was thinking Jake Wallman would be fun. We got him inked for another 3 years. Get a fun number like 96. Like, think about, you have to pay for a number on your jersey. You're actually covering more real estate. So it's like I'm saving money if you get number 96. Because you've got to pay for more number.
For the name, you get the word May. And then for the number, you get 8/23. That's the day everything changed.
I will do that on May 8th. Wait, can I get a Bedard jersey?
No, you got to get you get the date that everything changed. Don't get a Bedard jersey, man.
So let's sum this all up, right? Like, we've been all over the place. There's some pieces we think could hit. I like Diamond just summing this up for us. So thanks, Joe. Thanks for coming along, Joe. I want to see you in the comments more often. Maybe one of these elite players we need is already in our system. We're racking up all those draft picks. We're still letting guys. We just watched Berggren's first season. Good gravy, did he look amazing? It was all about hockey smarts. It wasn't just us going, wow, good thing he's fast. And if that goes away, then what? you know, it was his ability to see the game. How many times did we talk about a power play goal that he was just exactly where he needed to be to knock it in because he knew exactly where the puck was going to go? Because he's been in that situation in his head. Did you ever hear that? I know we've brought it up before, but that story of Wayne Gretzky. And yes, I'm comparing Bergeron to Wayne Gretzky right now. But Wayne would listen to games on the radio and just pencil his way around a drawn ice rink. In those darker shaded areas, he knew that's where the puck was going to go. That's how he attributed that to a lot of his success. And I'm not saying Bergeron did that, but what you can see is those parallels to where that can find you success in the NHL. For how many times Bergeron's just been standing in front of the net and the puck lands right on his stick and he just goes, boop, in the net, power play goal. Right? Okay. Anyway, I got off track, just like I said I wasn't gonna.
Matt, that's what you're best at. We love it.
Got some good pieces that I think are being paid very reasonably. Joe put it best. We're crossing our fingers right now. We have a lot of darts to throw at the dartboard in regards to prospects and, of course, future draft picks. And like Elliot pointed out today, Elliot Friedman, with the cap being as close to frozen for another year as it can get, you've got a lot of assets tied into draft picks, which you are not paying for. And when you do start paying to have them as a contract on the team, it's a little bitty number. We're in a good position right now. Now, the question for the show is, how far are the Wings from contending? I think you could make an argument we're a couple years out. And as we stated at the start of the show, if you go for Michkov, well, you're looking at 26, 27 as your first year to contend. So,
oof, that's a long time.
Is that a nice, big enough range?
I'm going to be on the cusp of 40, Matt.
McLung, I like Bergeron. I think he's going to be our forward superstar, but Joe nails it here. I just heard Bergeron greater than Gretzky? I would have liked a question mark on the end.
That's that might have to be the new when we put this one on Spotify. It'll be the name of the episode.
Jared, going back to the jersey conversation, 96 with a Velcro name tape swap between Holmstrom and Wallman. Doesn't hurt. Joe throws out there perfect comparison. Dan B, don't forget about Kosa, who's knocking socks off in the ECHL. What was that?
For Holmstrom. Holmstrom always sold jerseys. Why didn't he ever sell like body armor? Remember he had those? He had to wear like a catcher's outfit because he was always getting hit in the body and with pucks and bodies and hot goalie sticks. I don't know. I thought he should have capitalized on that. But Matt throwing in a little Max Boltman. I know you love Max.
Yeah, we do.
I called him out twice today.
It would be awful if he listened to the show. That's why he doesn't answer my DMs anymore. I'll say it. Max, if you're listening, that bothered me so much. So how you shit on my take. It did. It bothered me.
Let's break it up twice an episode. All right. We hit our quota. Matt, did you have anything else?
Well, yeah, I thought we could all take a little peekaroo at the Buch goal. Because there's a rhyme and a reason. Like, I put these slides together. You know, like, it's not just pulled out of my ass. We were supposed to tell a whole story. And usually we take, we
take a lot of detours. Yeah, we don't usually stay on the road.
But as we continue to find, like, who's going to be that superstar, like, look at this goal. Buch, that is incredible. That's a double OT goal. Buch gets the game winner. That's our boy. But also, but if you watch the replay again, like, watch the defense. It's just kind of like, I'm going to stretch my arm out.
I'm not going over there.
Yeah, I'm not getting embarrassed. Let him score. I want to go home. So kind of just, I'm going to say this, what I mentioned before about the criticism of Buch's league, the VHL. That criticism I read after I saw this replay. So I watched this replay and I was like, oh my God, the toe drag. Look at this guy fucking tearing it up. And then I watched the replay again and I was like, oh yeah, everybody's just kind of standing around. Huh. But still, like, he still did the toe drag. He still scored the goal. So I'm not less excited about Buchelnikov. I just think it's fair that you guys see what I see. And of course, SHL playoffs going to get underway. Marco Casper, William Wallander going to get mixed in there. I think it would be really funny if Steve Yzerman is building a playoff team. And like, don't get, Mike, you're not going to get mad at me, but don't get mad at me. Everybody else. It would just be really funny if he built like the ultimate playoff team. Yeah, like a bunch of gritty guys who play good two-way defense, and we just never. Yeah. We're always just like on the cusp. Like we needed that goaltender that one year to push us through, so we could do a St. Louis Blues or an LA Kings, and instead we're just on the cusp. But yeah, more some playoff experience from Marco Kasper and Vollander. All good news. All of that wrapping into our conversation of 2 to 5 years. How'd you guys like that?
This is this is exciting news for future Mike when I'm 39. So very excited to turn 39 because the Red Wings will be just about on the cusp of contending. But go
ahead. 2 more topics left.
Okay.
Hockey topics, not necessarily Red Wings topics, but I think you guys like hockey. Mike, Tony Ferrari, the Tony Ferrari on Twitter. The QMJHL is planning to have a rule in place that will ban fighting, making it black and white. This is no longer a part of our game. Tony then continues on. The end of fighting in hockey could be right around the corner.
It is weird that the only sport where everybody's armed to the teeth allows fighting. Luckily, they do just use their fists. But
kickboxing in the NHL is returning.
Yeah. I mean, I know a lot of the traditionalists are going to be really grinding their molars to dust reading that, right? Because, does that mean that it eventually gets to the point where the NHL says no more fighting? Because this league, like baseball, is so like it's followed so closely by the traditionalists who don't want to see anything change. I don't think that the fighting will ever leave the NHL, but I don't know. It just seems so. The NHL just seems like such a contrarian. You know what I mean? Because other, if you even think about fighting in any other sport, you're done. You're out. You're suspended. Like, it's not even a question.
Yeah,
but,
you know what?
Like hockey, it's like a couple minutes in a box, and we'll see you in 5 minutes.
I still, like, if I'm watching baseball, I don't know. Baseball seems different. Like, I will watch a punch get thrown. Like, what do you call it? Emptying the benches, or what's the phrase?
Oh, empty the dugout?
Yeah, emptying the dugout. Like, that's kind of like a part of baseball to me. But if I don't know what it is. Baseball, I'm fine. Obviously, hockey, we're used to it. In the NFL or the NBA, if I see a punch thrown, I'm just like, oh, what is he doing? How could he? Like, I'm always in shock. I am just a jaw on the floor. Hockey, I'm fine. Baseball, I'm fine. And then it happens in basketball and football, and I'm just like, he was bad.
Because there's people outside their fighting weight class, in football and basketball. You might have like a 6'2" point guard trying to fight like a 7 foot 320-pound center. But Ken Young, ban fighting. Now I'm really pissed. Yeah, I mean, when you're there in person, it is fun to watch, a fight go on, and if your team's losing, and then you start, whacking people in the corner, and then it turns into a scrum, and then everybody's grabbing jerseys and throwing punches. Yeah, it's pretty entertaining, but yeah, I mean, I think Dan B might be onto something. I grew up loving fighting, me too, but knowing the damage it does to guys' brains, I can't watch a fight anymore. Yeah. It's a little bit, Matt and I are big wrestling fans, and they outlawed
I used to shots. Be. Yeah, I used to be a big wrestling fan. Mike still is.
They outlawed chair shots to the head because turns out you do damage to your organs in your skull, and turns out your skull houses your brain. So not good.
Yeah, that's why I stopped watching.
To take a seat, and I don't know. Maybe we are on the road to no more fighting, and maybe there'll just be a generation of hockey fans that don't really pine for it like we did, even though some of our favorite Detroit hockey memories involve fisticuffs with the Colorado Avalanche. Yeah, I mean, now we'll have memories about scoring goals, which is the point of the game.
Have you watched like the old pregame for like the NFL on CBS?
No.
From like the 80s or the 70s?
Oh, is it like like open field tackles where guys are just getting beheaded.
Everything in there is a penalty now. I think Tony's point. I don't know. I'm reading it again. Maybe not right around the corner, but this definitely feels like the first move that gets you towards no more fighting in hockey. But yeah, I agree with Dan. Obviously, like, gosh, I remember, and I'm ashamed of this now. I used to be really proud of it, but there was a Columbus Blue Jackets game that I went to, and there were two Columbus Blue Jackets fans right in front of me that were really obnoxious. And Blue Jackets scored the first goal, and then the Wings scored like the next 6. And then there was this huge fight at like the end of the third period because it was a blowout. And I don't know why I did this, but I was just in their ears and I was just like, yeah, get out of here, go out. Like I'm yelling to them to leave, and they did. They got up and left. And then like to me and everybody else around, we're all like, yeah, we got him to leave. And we were like high five. Now I'm ashamed. Yeah. But like the fight got me, like I turned into a monster, like I turned into an animal. Really got me going. I love seeing all the blood and sweat. Like I loved it. I can't deny it. Dan's right. Grew up loving it. But, maybe we take the decision out of players' hands and they would say, I don't mind if we have fighting. And we go, yeah, but now you're going to live longer. And
by the way, Chewy going, I love when they charge at the pitcher after being hit by the ball. That is one of my favorite things, to watch them chase the pitcher down. And he's got to protect his arm. It's worth like $200 million. So he's got to like try and glove slap, like an attacker away to protect his investment. But yeah, that is a fun experience.
I like Joe. No way Columbus fans were obnoxious. Oh my God. They were the worst. Like before the game started, like turning around and saying to me, like, we just came because we knew we were going to win. And I was like, okay, great. And then when they scored the first goal, told you. And then when we scored 6 more, I was like, suck it. Yeah. Sorry. It was ugly. I'm not proud anymore. I was very proud at the time. All right. Well, do we have one more? Did I have another? Oh, yeah, I don't really care about this. Gary Bettman received expansion interest in Atlanta, Houston, and Quebec City. Let's go Atlanta. Man, Houston and Quebec City will probably make the most money. I don't know.
I feel like Quebec is the best choice.
Yeah.
I don't know. It always still seems, again, contrary to common sense to keep opening new ice hockey franchises, in hot areas.
Does Austin Matthews change your mind? Does the league need to step in and move Austin Matthews back to his hometown?
Because they need to send him to the Detroit Red Wings, Matt. He needs to change that blue sweater for a red one. That's what we need to do.
All right. No, I was just wondering. I was curious. Oh, that's Connor Bedard and what's his name from It's Always Sunny. All right, that was last week's episode. I didn't delete all the slides.
Matt, stop putting your phone search history on there. What do you think?
I'm just staring at Connor Bedard. I mean, he's a good-looking cat. Like he's going to be on posters, I have no problem saying that. I'm comfortable. Wow. I have a wife.
I hope Matt's wife is excited to have that poster above the old bed.
What'd you call me? Who's Connor? I like Joe's comment. Atlanta, because they've never tried that before. Third time's the charm. Dan B would love to see the Nordiques back, but never going to go to Quebec again. I actually did like a full... I did a project when I was getting my MBA, like to come back to this. And I actually said like Quebec has the most potential for revenue, which I thought, why don't you, if you're going to add an Atlanta or a Houston, you need to add Quebec City too, kind of thing. So you don't just have this money vacuum like you do in Arizona. Where they're like, no, just give us a couple more years. We'll be out of Mullet Arena. It's fine. It's all part of the plan. It's like, okay. It's the most ridiculous thing in sports.
Um,
All right. Well, everybody, did you all have fun? Hope you did. I hope you can hit the like button for us on YouTube. If you're listening to the podcast, please take a second, do us a huge favor, go to Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you're listening. Give us a rate of Rooney. We'd really appreciate it. And yeah, thanks for coming along, guys. We'll see you guys next week, and hopefully we'll have maybe a win to talk about. Maybe Chason will keep his streak going. Yeah.
We
Couple
got
more
our
power
elite
play
player,
goals.
Elite Chason. Woo!
It is kind of funny. He's been more productive than Tyler Bertuzzi on a per minute basis.
Whoopsie.
I love ending the podcast with these thoughts that just would enrage some fans. Like, you didn't even really need Tyler Bertuzzi. You just needed some tall guy to work with Dylan Larkin. That's all. Not a tall guy. A guy who will muck it up. That's all. All right. Now that everybody's angry, we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for hanging around. Toodles.